Okay. I thought she joined, but she didn't. It's okay. It's alright. I got something that you won't like. Dun. Hello, everybody. My name is Christopher Castañeda Rodriguez, and I am going to have an MG1 right now. Don't stop. I still have her too. Okay, I'm gonna do the tracking right now. What? I didn't even click on that. Mm, 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 mm.
Hi,
Hello, hello.
hi, Christopher. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. I can hear you.
Okay, okay.
How's it
Would
going?
you like me to turn on my camera or
Yeah, if
doesn't
possible.
matter?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi.
How's it going, Fernanda?
Hi, it's going good. What about you?
That's great. That's great. I'm doing good too. Just got out of class. Last class for the day. But
Okay, that's good.
no, yeah. You said you were, like out of your house right now. Were you like running some errands right now? What were you doing?
Yeah, I was actually at a doctor's appointment.
Oh, there you go. Oh man.
Yeah,
I hope
but
everything's
I
going
got back.
well. I hope everything's going good.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. No, yeah. Well, I mean, the reason why I want kind of book a meeting today, kind of just get to know
Yeah,
kind of just get to see your face, not like a LinkedIn profile picture, but I'm a real
yeah.
person. I'm not a robot. Yeah, and I'm actually currently a UC Merced student. I saw on your LinkedIn you're an alumna, right? So you're not currently coming here
Yes,
anymore. You graduated, right?
yes, I did. I graduated almost a year ago in May.
Oh, there you go. Congratulations, congratulations.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank
So,
you.
so what did you study in again?
I did sociology as my major and
Mm,
psychology as my minor. So
okay.
yeah, very in the social sciences
Yeah.
area.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely a lot into like the thinking and like, minds and things like that. I remember
yeah,
I did
yeah.
take one what was it, psychology class. It was like psychology child and adolescence, and it's pretty much like how
Oh
kids and
yeah.
they grow up inside. It's really interesting actually. And so
Yes.
like I was like, man, and I took that in high school, I remember. So when I took the class, it was with a bunch of adults and they all looked at me like, "What are you doing in here?" And I was like, I don't know. I'm trying to get credits before I go to college. And I just took that random class, but it was really interesting. And I'm like, till this day, like I
Yes.
still retain some, like, some of that information.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it's funny that you say that because when I was in college, I took child development.
Okay.
And that's the class that made me want to add psychology as a minor. I was like, I need to do this. I need a little more.
No, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. No, yeah, and that's like something like that's really interesting actually. So that's really cool that you kind
Hmm.
of shared that. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to just set the stage. Like I said in like the message, this isn't gonna be like an interview, so like feel free to be yourself. Don't think you need to be
Okay.
professional and things like that. Um,
Okay.
but no, yeah, I mean, I can kind of just introduce myself a little bit just so you get to know me a
Yeah.
little bit more. I know you saw like my LinkedIn profile, or maybe you did. But like a
Yeah.
little bit more about myself. My name is Christopher Castañeda.
Uh-huh.
And I have a background, in management, business, and economics. That's what I'm majoring in right now. And
Yeah.
if I'm being completely honest with you, like I was not the same person I am today, like a year ago. And
No.
like reason being is because when I first came to Merced, um, I thought it was like all sunshine and rainbows. Like I'm going to a UC far away from home. I'm from the Bay Area originally.
Me too.
Okay, what part?
San Jose.
San Jose, really? Oh,
Yes.
that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm actually planning on moving out there when it comes to like me and also schools. I'm planning on going to
Yeah.
San Jose State just because I know it's really good in business,
Oh.
and so yeah, I know that's something I'm
Oh.
pursuing,
Okay.
and so I chose Merced because I'm like, oh, it's a UC, the only one that
Hmm.
accepted me. But I can kind of go more in depth about that later.
Okay.
But yeah, so I kind of chose to come over here because yeah, it's like almost like a 3 hour drive because I'm more like
Yeah.
right above San Francisco, like Sonoma
Oh.
County,
So
Marin County, around that area. I'm not sure if you're
yeah.
familiar with it.
A
But
little bit.
no, yeah, so it's like a 2.5 hour drive, like three with like traffic, so it's pretty
Yeah,
far.
it's very
And
far.
so what I realized is like, oh, I have a lot of freedom. My parents, they're not gonna be behind me anymore. Like, oh, Christopher, go do that, go do this. So I'm like, let me try something new. Like let me move out and not let me not live with my parents. And so it was like a double-edged sword. It was good. In some cases I'm able to grow, I'm able to learn more, like do more things by myself, be more independent. But at the same time, it's
Hmm.
bad, because I don't have anybody telling me what's wrong, what's right. Hey, you should be doing this, you shouldn't. So,
Yeah.
um, just like I'd say some more background on me. Like before even like college, I was just very like how would you say it? Very easily influenced by other people. So I would always want to
Mhm.
fit in and always want to like be cool, hang out with the cool kids. Try to
Yeah.
do things fit in. So
I think
um
we're all that way.
yeah,
So
okay,
it's
no, yeah.
no, it's fair.
No, yeah, so yeah, so I think most of us are like like that kind of growing up, wanting to kind of
Yeah.
follow other people essentially. And so, I would always hang around in like a wrong association, growing up, kind of, just doing things that aren't so good, maybe smoking, drinking, going to parties, things like that. And so
Mhm.
my mom was like, I don't want that stuff to kind of carry on, like when you go to college. And so,
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna do good. I was good for like my first semester, until like the middle of it. And then I was like, man, midterms, like this is stressful. I need something to
Oh
de-stress. And then so, like I would hang out, around like a negative association that, smoke. I'd go party, go drinking, do all these things. And then I'd be like, oh man, I feel better now. And then like the next day I feel even worse. It's like
yeah.
I didn't
Hmm.
study. I didn't do anything I really needed to do. It wasn't really productive. It was just, a
Yeah.
short term pleasure. And I was like, man, like why did I do that? Like I dreaded
Yeah.
like I shouldn't have done that. I should have studied instead. And so, my first year was like pretty much just a lot of repetition of, falling back into that same cycle again. And I started to kind of
Mhm.
realize something. I'm like, man, like why do I keep doing this? Like, why does this keep happening to me? Like I want to, be better. I want to get better grades. I want to, excel, not just like educationally, but like in my life too, starting young.
Mhm.
Um, and I've always kind of had like this ambition to, like always want to do more. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
maybe because I come from like an immigrant background, like my family, like both my parents, they, came from Mexico, very young age. They were like teenagers when they came. And so they all they know to do is work. And so I've always had like the hard
Yes.
work and me, like the work ethic. All right, whatever it is, I need to go like, hard work, like, just go at it. And so
Exactly. I'm the same way.
yeah, no, yeah, there you go. Yeah, so I mean, we relate perfectly with that. And so,
Yeah.
for me, my parents taught me, you don't earn things, you only earn things through hard work. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, like I gotta, work more on myself. So, I started maybe, trying to do some things that, I most of my friends wouldn't really do. I try to go out, try to go to the gym, try to go on runs and things like that, just more for my mentality. But I'm like, man,
Hmm.
like I was looking for, something more. Like I wanted to look for like a mentor or something like that because I was really lost
Yeah.
at say my first year. I honestly didn't really like know what I wanted like to do. So like I remember I
Hmm.
joined business society. I'm like, oh, this is gonna help me for sure. Like find more opportunities. It's gonna make me like network. I did that. It was amazing. I'm still part of business society now. I'm the director of the entrepreneurship department. But
Hmm.
because of that, it actually opened the door. It networked. I was able to network with someone else on LinkedIn. Pretty much just how I reached out to you.
Yeah.
My business partner, he actually reached out to me. He's like, oh, I saw you had like a business background. You're interested. Like would you be interested maybe learning about how to start your own business, things like that. And that really interested me
Wow.
because when I was younger, like in elementary school, I was always that kid with like the chips, the sabritas, like Gatorades, Arizonas, like you name it, and like the Pelo Ricos. Like I was like selling all types of candies, and then like
Yeah.
even in my college years, I'm like, man, I need to make some money. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, what work? That's like always kind of work. Like, don't fix it like if it's not broken. So I'm like, let me go back to like the
Yeah.
old like like my old school like methods. So I would go to like a Costco or like a food like big store, buy a bunch of chips, candies, and I literally bought like a little sign. I just put it on my door. I'm like, I got snacks on the third floor. And like, man, I was like, people were texting me, calling me, like, zelling me, like, hey, I want like a cup of noodles. Like, can you bring me one? And so, like, I was always like trying to just find ways to make more money, just on the side. Cause
Yeah.
that's another big reason why I chose Merced, the financial aid, because my parents, they're not
Yeah.
doing so well back at home. So I'm like, man, like, I want to go to, maybe like a college closer, but it might not be like the best financial, like status,
Exactly.
exactly for my family. And so Merced gave me like the best financial offer. I'm like, all right, let's
Hmm.
go for it. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of like while having like that ambition, that drive, kind of growing up, it kind of carried on. So like once I saw the opportunity, like, man, that sounds like awesome. Like yeah, like I'm all for it. Like let's meet up. Like I want to talk about it. And so you know I kind of went out. Did that, met up with him on Zoom, was super interested in
Mhm.
learning about this, and pretty much going through the process, it made me realize, how much I don't know, and also made me realize,
Yeah.
on, like my own problems that I was kind of like too blind to see. Because
Yeah.
something I didn't not realize at all was that I was like very overly ambitious. I thought I can do everything. And so I would just put
Yeah.
everything on my plate. And I was like, man, like, why do I always get burnt out? Like, why do I always do so much? And then, like, have downtime for like a while. I'm like, man, like I'm stressed. I can't do this. I can't do that. And it's because I didn't realize I had, these problems that, my coaches, my mentors were actually able to help me realize that I had. And
Hmm.
kind of just, going back to my story, with like, just hanging around like negative associations when, comes to like growing up, that carried on my first year. And so after I found, like this opportunity, my business partner, his name is Tona, by the way, he reached
Uh-huh.
out to me, and I kind of just started going through the process. I was just learning about it. Yes, it is 7 steps, and it's at your own pace, so it's nothing like I'm never gonna like push that. Oh, you need to keep moving on. It's pretty much up on you. Like my coach, she ended up finishing the process in like 3 weeks. It took me almost 2 months, and I was in the summertime too.
Oh,
So, but
um,
I was working. I have a girlfriend, so she takes up a lot of my time, and
yeah,
family, and kind of just doing online classes. During the summer, but
yeah,
I'd say what like really kept me like to actually wanting to finish the process and like actually explore this opportunity more. Because at first I was kind of just curious. I just wanted to learn about it. I'm like, all right, you know what? Like,
yeah,
let me check it out. Because didn't want to commit to anything. Because I'm like, I'm still a college student. I got school. I got my job. So like, I didn't really want a
yeah.
big commitment. But since it was during the summer, I'm like, all right, you know what? Let me give it a try. And so I tried it out and I started to notice some little like changes in myself when it came to like the way I spoke, the way I dressed, and then like the people I started to hang around with. I started to hang around with people who had goals, who had dreams, and who had like the ambition to want to succeed in life. And something my coach, like she really helped me realize was, she like straight up told me, she's like, Christopher, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with. And at first I kind of had
Hmm.
an ego. I was like, nah, I don't think so. And then I reflected back. I was thinking, I'm like, wait, like my freshman year, I would only hang around, like people who would smoke. I would only hang around people who didn't study. It makes kind of sense. I
Yeah,
didn't study. I would go to parties. I'm like, wait, I think she has a point. I think she's right. So then I kind of went back. I'm like, you know what? Like, I think you're right, coach. Like, like what you were saying is true. I just had an ego at the time. And so I was like, learning a lot. And I was like, wow, like, I want to continue learning about this opportunity. And I'd say, like, the biggest thing for me, I was like, the first question asked, I'm like, all right, how much do I got to pay? And then they're like, oh, nothing.
yeah.
And I was like, wait, it's free? And then so like when I realized that, I was like, wait, this is like awesome. And so that's like something else like I actually want to talk about too. But um yeah, I mean, that's like a little bit about me. I could
Hmm.
go like a lot more in depth, like, yeah, prior to college, like things that happened to me that actually made me to want to be this ambitious. Cause I know I said I was
Yeah.
a completely different person a year ago today, but like if you knew me, I probably wouldn't have even talked to you. I'd probably just walk right past you or like not even send you a message or anything like that. Cause like from like high school, like freshman year to let's say my like almost junior year, I had no plans on going to college. I just wanted to work. That's what I saw my brother doing. He got his nice BMW, and I was like, wow, I want to do that too. I just want to work 2 jobs and make money, and that's how it is. But then I started to realize I'm like, okay, college is a possibility as well. But I was like, I already done school for like 9, 10 years of my life. Why do I want to go another 4 years? And so
Hmm.
yes, I wanted to come to college for the career, but I also wanted to come to college because I knew of, like the networking opportunities, like the people, there, like the connections I can make. And so
Yeah.
that was kind of just like, I'd say like my mindset, I kind of like really shifted it. And then once I kind of shared that out with my coach too, she told me, it's not about so much about what I know, but it's about who I know. And so that's what kind of made me like more eager to like actually want to meet new people every day and kind of just go out and just be friendly, talk to people, even if you don't know them. Because nowadays you say hi to someone, you're like, do I know you? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know I needed to know you to say hi. I
I
apologize.
know.
Yeah, it's so like, yeah, but I mean that's a little
It's
bit about,
scary.
no, it is, yeah. That's a little bit about me. I don't even need to say like I'm kind of extroverted. I think you can maybe tell I talk a lot. So I kind of want to
Oh
ask
my gosh.
you if
I
you
wish
could.
I could be like that because I'm like, it takes me. It's a process. It can be like talking, but I do enjoy getting to know others. But yeah, I'm definitely more of an introvert.
No, no, that's completely fine. And no, like my very close business partner, who I work very close with, he's an introvert, and like
Yeah.
over the span of like a year or like a little less than 2 years, he's actually been able to like control. Okay, do I want to be an extrovert today or an introvert today? I'm like, man, I just know I'm extroverted. I can't choose to be like I try to be introverted and it's hard. So it's like I know what you mean.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but I wanted to ask you, like, if you'd like to share a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, kind of the same as you, really. Well, in terms of education, I didn't start considering college until I knew it was a possibility for me.
Mm-hmm.
That was around, I want to say maybe end of junior year, but really going into senior year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all because I give full credit to my counselor at the time in high school.
Wow.
she was the one who introduced me to, I guess, like that possibility because I didn't know. I mean, my parents as well, they didn't go to college. They
Yeah.
immigrated from Mexico. You know all about it.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
don't know. It's kind of like we had to figure it out on our
Yeah,
on
we
our
really
own.
did.
And
We really did have to figure it out. Like, man, how do I even apply to fast food? Like, that was a challenge for me.
oh yeah,
Whew.
yes, that whole thing was like a whole experience
It was, yeah.
on its own. But yeah, and then after she told me, well, what do you want to do after you graduate? And I was like, well, I'm gonna start working. She was like, well, yeah, you can do that, but have you considered college or university? And I was like, well, no, not really. Also because I know it's expensive, and my friends don't have that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
She was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I understand, but there's help, there's financial aid.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I was like, okay. And she kind of like got me curious about it, and
Yeah.
um, that's how I was like, okay, well, I want to explore that and see what that could look like for me. Um, and so yeah, I applied um, to I think it was like four universities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm older than you, I believe. So it was like for me, this was like a while ago, like pre-COVID.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was like actually right before COVID when I applied. Um, and yeah, I applied to, well, actually, one of them was San Jose State because at the time, um, we still lived in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly in San Jose anymore. We lived in Gilroy. I don't know if you know where
Yeah, oh,
that
yeah.
is.
I know where you go. I
Yeah.
passed by there. It's like straight fields there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where we lived at the time I was applying to high school. I started high school in San Jose, but I finished in Gilroy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I was applying when I was applying to colleges. And um, yeah, that's at the time I applied to San Jose State because it's still kind of close to Gilroy,
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to keep that as an option.
Yeah.
I applied to San Francisco State, to Monterey Bay, and to what's the other one? The one in Hayward. I forget the name. I don't
Mm,
know if you remember.
I was gonna say East
um,
Bay.
yeah, East Bay.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. I applied to that one too. That's why. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I got into all of them, and I was like, what?
There you go. Congrats.
Yeah, it was crazy. And it was just like, yeah, she told me, well, it's because I wanted you to apply because you had everything to apply.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how to, or like the thing that worried me the most was the financial like burden.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
Exactly.
yeah, it's way too much.
Yeah.
I was just like you, like, how much is they gonna cost?
Yeah. Literally. No. Yeah. That's the.
Yeah, that's what made me like second guess myself a lot and not really want to pursue that more.
Mm-hmm.
But once like my counselor explained everything to me and she helped me fill out my FAFSA, um, that's where I was like, okay, I think I want to do this,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and
That's
I did.
awesome.
Um, the thing is that I didn't go straight into UC Merced.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of it was crazy for me a little bit, especially because of COVID. It just made it harder.
No. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I told her, okay, well, I'm gonna apply, but it doesn't. She was also very like adamant about telling me it doesn't mean just because you apply and you get in, it doesn't mean you have to commit to going.
Yeah.
And that's something that I had to like. It took me a while to understand because I thought, okay, we're applying and I got accepted. Does that mean I have to go?
Yeah. You know.
And
Yeah.
she
For
was
me
like,
too. I was like, wait. Do I gotta go to like? How am I gonna go to all four? I'm
I know.
cooked. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was like, no, 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 it doesn't. There's a process that has to happen for you to like be actually enrolled.
Admitted. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. And because I wasn't sure about going through like the whole process. Like I just kind of wanted to get my feet wet, if that
Yeah.
makes
Yeah. I
sense.
know what you mean.
Yeah, because I didn't know how it was gonna look for me, and especially because I didn't know what I wanted to do. That was like
Yeah.
another huge thing I was like confused about. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've never considered it, so I'm just like I don't really know in what field I want to go into. For a long time I wanted to be a teacher, but then by the time I got to like middle school and high school, I was like, no,
Yeah, you're like,
I'm
nah.
not doing it.
Yeah, I cannot. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to be a teacher anymore. Um, but yeah, I didn't have like any other interests till there was a time where she was like, okay, well, if you don't know what you want to do, you can go as undeclared. And once you're there, wherever like college or university you attend, they will like help you figure out like what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is that literally the day I applied to all of them, I chose my major.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy because I was going through like the list of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember feeling so like dumb because I didn't know like what any of them meant.
Yeah.
Um,
That was no, that
and
was me too. Literally,
yeah,
I had to search them up on Google. Like, wait, what is this? Like I had no idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And this was all happening literally at the time that we were applying. Like it was like the last few days.
Oh yeah. So
And she
you,
wasn't just helping me; she was
yeah.
helping like
So you
a
felt like
group
the
of.
pressure. You were like under pressure for sure. You were like,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
like, oh my god.
You were like, I need to
Yeah, I
make
was
a
like, I don't
decision.
know. I know. It felt like I had to make a decision right there. Until I was like going through the list and I was searching up, okay, what is this? What is that? And then I came across sociology. And what caught me like the attention, my attention was that it has social in it. And I'm like, well, does social mean like you're friendly?
Yeah, this mean
Or
like
like
I talk to people like.
exactly. And I was like, well, I like to consider myself a pretty nice social person, even
Yeah.
though I'm an introvert. Like it doesn't make sense, but yeah, I think that's what caught my attention. And then I asked her, oh, what is this? What is sociology? And she's like, I think she said something along the lines of, oh, it's like you're studying groups of people in society. And
Mm.
I was like, oh, okay, that sounds interesting. Um, and I think that was like my top choice, but then I searched up, I think it was environmental science or something like that.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
what it
had
says.
some point I had like marine biology. I was like, that's crazy. I was like, what? I was like all over the place just because I didn't know like what I
Yeah.
wanted. I was just going on based on like what was interesting to me and what sounded interesting at the
Mm.
time.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. But I ended up going with sociology because that's the one that piqued my interest the most.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I chose sociology as my major. Um, but then after that, after I we submitted the applications and I got accepted, I told her I don't think I'm going to do any of it. I'm not going straight into university. It just felt like I don't know, scary,
Mm-hmm.
unknown, like uncertain. I was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna like it. And then I didn't even know if we could like get out of once you were
You're like, if I'm in, I'm there
like
for the 4
enrolled.
years. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've never been one to like back out of something that I am already in. It's
Yeah.
like if I'm in, I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna do it right.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Uh-huh. So I told her that and she was like, yeah, that's fair and I understand and you don't have to go. She said you can always first start with community college. That's an
Mm-hmm.
option as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you can transfer to a four-year university if you want.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that seems a little bit more like fitting for me
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know how like my experience is gonna go and if I'm even gonna like it.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she was like, yeah, you could do that. And that's what I did. So at the time, I also applied to the only community college in Gilroy, which it's called Gavilan College.
Gavilan. Okay.
And yeah, and yeah, según yo, that's the one I was gonna go
Yeah.
to. And yeah, so I was like, okay, well, it's good to know that I got accepted to all these universities because I can keep them like in the back of my head for like options when like later on
Yeah.
yeah, and she was like, yeah, you can do that. So yeah, that's basically what I did. I went to I graduated in 2020. Um, and it was like the worst year to graduate high school. It was so bad.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
wasn't even
COVID
excited.
time. It's like,
I know. I was like, really?
Yeah.
After everything we went through in high school and then having it to end like this, it was horrible. It was sad.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I can totally. Yeah, I know what you mean. I was in
yeah.
what was it? I remember I was actually in my continuation school, uh, because I actually got expelled from my high school, and that's a story
Wow.
I can actually like share with you maybe a little bit later. Um,
Yeah.
and it was in COVID, so it was like a super small school, only two teachers. It's like back and forth periods, like six periods. So
Uh-huh.
it's like two classes move here, two classes move here, then it's like back again, and it's like 20 students. You can count the kids, and like there's like a gate, so like you can't get out, and you're wearing masks. So it's like I literally felt like I was trapped there, and I was like, oh my, it was the worst. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You can keep
Yeah.
going though.
That's okay. It's okay. No, yeah. Um, and then yeah, that I ended up graduating, and then in the summer I registered for classes. That was a whole like thing on its own. So at the time I was home like,
Yeah.
and I hadn't seen my counselor in like months. All the way we could communicate was through email, and that's it.
Mhm.
So it was very hard to find like help when I needed it, which was like all of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fine. I figured it out. And then I started in August. I started community college, and I did all throughout like the I want to say it was August 2020 to December 2022. I did community college all online, not in person ever.
Man.
Yeah, and
All online.
that
Yeah.
was
So you didn't even
that
experience
was
like you
crazy.
didn't even experience community college. It was like online
I know I
classes.
didn't.
Well,
I didn't.
man, so you really did just jump into UC, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't experience it, and that's something that still makes me sad to this day because I wish I could have been at least on campus a few times, and I
Mm-hmm.
never was able to.
Yeah.
But I can't also like complain because it was also nice doing it from home.
No, yeah, of course.
Um,
More
yeah, like it
comfortable.
was like I was able to do it on my own time, but then it was a double-edged sword
Double edged
because
sword,
it
yeah.
was like, yeah, it's good and bad. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't perfect either.
Yeah. I
Um,
see that.
but yeah, and then in after that, I got my associates in transfer from Gavin College
Mm-hmm.
in December 2022, and then my first semester at UC Merced was spring of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually had applied the year before in the summer,
Mm.
and um, I got accepted in October of 2022, if I remember correctly. That's when I got like the acceptance letter and everything.
Yeah.
And I only applied because it was like the only from where we moved, it was the only closed university, I guess.
Yeah.
And I wanted to stay close to home. Like I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just again like the same feeling like back then in high school. I was like, I don't know if I want to move
You're like, I don't want to go
dorm.
so far, yeah, huh?
And yeah.
I know what you mean.
And then yeah, and then during that time actually in 2020 I completely like skipped over this part. My parents bought a house
Oh,
over
wow.
here. Yeah, so um during we moved during COVID. It was like everything was happening at the same time, which was crazy.
Yeah.
I was starting I was starting community college and then moving to a new house
Yeah.
literally in the same like in the span of like a couple months all at
Mm-hmm.
the same time. And so yeah, we moved over here and then that's we had already been living here when I applied to
Yeah.
university. So it was like it was really different. Like the options I had back then changed completely changed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had even considered UC Merced before
Mm-hmm.
until I knew that there it was here, like close to where we live now. So I was like, okay, well I'm gonna apply here.
Yeah.
And thank God I still had a counselor as a community college student.
Mm-hmm.
So she was the one that helped me a lot too with kind of figuring out, okay, like this is how transferring is gonna look like, and you have to have these classes in order to get credits over there and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, once we figured that out, I was like, okay. She told me. if you want to start in the spring, then you have to apply during this time. And she kind of went through like the whole process with me, and then I had to like do it all by myself.
Yeah. Oh
uh,
man.
so, but yeah, because I had like the prior experience of already applying before,
Uh
it
huh.
wasn't that hard as I thought it was gonna be. Um, and yeah, that's what it did. And so, yeah, my first semester was in 2023 in the spring, and I was only there for a really short amount of time. I
Yeah.
did only 3 semesters, which was a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it went by really, really fast, but it was also really, really busy.
Oh yeah. I bet.
Um, yeah, and so yeah, I finally graduated last year.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
and yeah,
That's
I don't
awesome.
know.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that with me, Fernanda. You kind of just
Yeah,
shared like from like literally from like
I
what like
tried.
junior year of high school, all the way to like you pretty much like graduation to now. But no, yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Um, a lot happened during that time, and if I kind of went that far back too,
yeah,
like there's a lot more things that happened with me too. I'd say definitely
yeah.
like I remember like right before I even like got into my junior year in high school, I did mention I was in a continuation school, and that was because I got
Wow.
expelled. It was I want to say like my freshman year, second semester. So, like it was like right when winter break started, or like during winter break actually. It's like I never
Oh
came back after
wow.
winter break. It was winter break. It's like, hey, what happened to Chris? And so, like I said, I was hanging around the wrong people at the wrong place at the wrong time, and I got arrested for vandalism actually. And so because of that, I
Oh
was like,
wow.
yeah, I
That
was
was
like,
like my worst fear growing up.
yeah, it was for me too, and I experienced it. It was like 15 or 16. Oh my gosh, when I saw the look on
Oh
my mom,
wow.
when I saw the look on my mom's face, like, like,
Oh my
me quería
god.
matar, like it was crazy. I was like, like literally like I don't want to say it, but I was like, casi me estaba like cagando, I was like tripping. And so, pretty much, like, I won't go through like the whole story, but I'll just let you know, like, the cops knocked on the door. I was relaxing. I was like, oh, everything's okay. I had just went out, we pretty much me and some friends, we were just like messing around, turning into like vandalizing a little elementary school. And so,
Oh
cops
my
knocked on my
god.
door, like, oh, is Christopher here? We, saw, we like saw him on camera, da 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 da. And boom, I walk out, they arrest me. My mom's like breaking down. And the crazy part is, it's like, it's New Year's Eve. I get it. I'm already arrested. I'm in the cop car.
Mhm.
I'm looking outside the window in front of my house, and boom, fireworks are going off. Happy New Year's, and I'm like,
Oh my god.
nah. And I'm like, my New Year's is like, I'm like, why?
I know
What?
it's like the
I
worst
was
day
like,
to get
yeah.
arrested.
So like, what did I do? Like, and I was so like disappointed in myself, and so I wasn't like mad, but I was like more disappointed because I knew that my parents weren't even mad at me. They were like hurt. They were disappointed, like because I'm the middle child, and they said that they would have never expected that from me. They're like, maybe Edgar, your brother,
Mhm.
but never you, Chris. And then so I was like, man, like it really made me feel bad. So like I feel like I need to give back to them, and so that's kind of why like my
Mhm.
ambition, instead of like wanting to hang around with these negative people, like let me try to hang out with people who are smarter than me. Let me try to do more and actually want to repay my
Yeah.
parents back. But I'd say yeah, so that's why I went to continuation school, and then not until after I kind of like finished my continuation school, like my sophomore year during COVID and all that stuff. I still didn't really learn my
Mhm.
lesson. I was still trying to hang around with bad kids and still trying to fit in and all this
It's hard
stuff.
to get out of that mindset.
It really
Yeah.
is, especially when you're like 15, and then after that, it's like
I
like
know.
I get out of juvie and things like that, and so it's like they're like, okay, my parents like, you got to start working now. I'm 15 years old. I'm like, I gotta work. Like what? Like yeah, you have to pay back what happened, and so like I was like, man, like none of my friends at 15 years old had a job. They were all, like their
Yeah.
parents like income and like they're going out having fun. I'm like, I can't do that. I gotta go clock in at Baskin Robbins on my little bike. So like, yeah, I was getting paid $12 an hour when the minimum wage was 14, and I'm like, hey yo, I just said yes because I needed a job. So I started working there for like a year, and so pretty much through all this, I'm like, man, like I still didn't really learn my lesson until I transferred schools, and I didn't want to, but my mom was like, no, like I know you're not a bad kid, but you're hanging around bad
Mhm.
people. And I was
Yeah.
too blind to see that at first, but now I'm like, dang, my mom was right. She had a point, man.
Yeah.
Sí tenía razón. And so like
Yeah.
then when I came to junior year, just like your counselor, for me it was I took a class called Avid. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's
I've
like
heard of
yeah,
it.
it's like a
Yeah.
college career readiness class. And so
Yeah.
her name was Dr. LB. She had her PhD and everything, but she did it because she had a passion for teaching, and
Yeah.
she saw something in me that I couldn't even see in myself. And she's like,
Yeah.
Christopher, you have this ambition, this drive, this energy. Like you should put it to something like put it to something useful instead of being super chaotic in classrooms and like always being the class clown. Like you should go to college. You should apply because I told her my plan. Oh, I'm gonna work 2 jobs. I'm gonna make money. Da, 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 da. She's like, have you ever thought about college? And I was like, college, what's that? And I'm like, what? Like, nah. And then so pretty much she pretty much kind of influenced me to want to come to college and like actually
Yeah.
learn about like things and actually pick a major and have a career for myself. And so I'm like, you know what, like,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Miss LB, like I appreciate that. And so I was like
Hmm.
super stoked. But yeah, like that's like a little bit more about my past. So I wanted to share that just so you kind of know, like, a little bit more about me, not just like very surface level. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to ask you, Fernanda. So like I know you
Yeah.
told me like a little bit about your background, like your major and things like that. But I'm really curious. Like I know I sent you a message, I reached out to you, but like
Yeah.
what caught your interest in the message? Because I know it's like business and like so, it's like I didn't see the connection, so I was like, yeah, like I
I
wonder what interested
know.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because oh my God, I feel like I got on LinkedIn so late. I don't even know because I created my account last year, literally like a couple weeks before I graduated. So I
Wow.
feel like yeah, and I feel like everyone else has it before. I was just like, okay, here I am, like la última. And yeah, I didn't even update it until I think it was last year after I graduated, and
Mhm.
that's when I started like filling up all the like the sections.
Mhm.
And I almost even didn't even know what I was doing, but I was in a I had a mentor from the career, what is it called, the career center?
Uh huh.
Yeah, from there, and she was the one that helped me like set it up, and she told
Mm.
me, well, you should put this and that, and so by the time I actually did it, she wasn't there anymore to help me because I had already graduated, so I
Yeah.
did it like here at home.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I just didn't from then on, you're actually the first person to like reach out to me. So I was like, at first, I'm not even gonna lie, I just wanted to leave your message like right there. I was like, I don't know. I was just gonna like not even respond, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it was just like you seemed very professional. So and I know
Thank
you
you.
are.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I was like, okay, well, yeah, I'll respond and see like what can come out of this. Um, and it's also because I've actually been more trying to be more active on my LinkedIn because
Okay.
I want to continue not only like my education but also growing professionally
Mm.
in terms of like jobs as well. I'm in the search for that right now.
There you go. No, yeah. I mean, right now the
Uh,
market's really bad for jobs, unfortunately.
yes,
Yeah.
I know. I've seen.
No, yeah. Like
Yeah.
I have close business partners who they were like completely different from your field, but they were like engineers, and there's just
Hmm.
layoffs happening a lot. Like even with other like departments and things as well too. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just hard to get a job right now. Yeah, I understand
I
that.
know. Yeah, and oh my God, the thing is that we don't know how long that's gonna last, and it sucks. It's like, yeah. Um, but I do definitely want to do work a little bit before I come back because I do want to do I think I want to go into a PhD,
Mhm.
but at the same time I just want to get my master's and then leave. Because I'm like I don't want to do like 8 to 10 years. That's crazy.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, and I actually do want to go back to UC Merced because I feel like my time there was so short, and I was barely getting to like out there, like kind of networking with others right in my
Mhm.
last semester. And that went by really quickly, and I feel like I just didn't have enough. I didn't build my connections in my network as much as I wanted to.
Mhm.
So I wanna, I don't wanna leave that there. I want to like continue it.
No, definitely.
So
No,
I
yeah.
guess that was another reason why I was like, I wanted to respond to your message.
No,
I just
yeah.
didn't want to leave it unanswered.
No, yeah. No, yeah. And I mean like I understand that, it happens a lot. Like I send messages, to a few people, and most of the time they leave you
Yeah.
on red, but I mean, it's completely fine. Maybe they just weren't interested, or it's like whatever, they read it. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool. But no, like I appreciate you responding, but I also applaud you for that too, because yeah, better late than never, to like start your own LinkedIn. But you want to
Hmm.
expand and grow your network, and you said you want to grow professionally, so like you're only doing things to better yourself. So I feel like like
Yeah.
that's awesome. And
Hmm.
literally like that's like what I wanted to do. I remember like my freshman year. I'm like, man, I want to like grow professionally. Because if I'm being honest with you, I did not know how to dress at all. Like okay, like
Oh,
obviously
I
it's like
know.
like casual clothing, but when it came to like business and stuff, I didn't know what smart casual was. I didn't know what business casual was. I didn't know what business professional
Uh-huh.
was, and all these other types of dressing. So I was like, all right, let me join business society. Maybe they can help me. And so like I literally pulled up. I was wearing like my prom suit, like like not knowing what's up. Like so, I was like, okay, help me out here. And so like I said, like I think business study really helped me a lot. Kind of like kind of just like give me that confidence of like okay, like how to dress, how to talk to people, and a little bit like that. But
Hmm.
I think that's what really opened the door to this business opportunity. And that's helped me to develop a lot more than just business society. Because yes, it's just a club on campus, but this business is
Yeah.
something that I'm building for myself. Like and potentially for the rest of my life. And
Hmm.
they're helping me a lot with my soft skills. And I'd say something that's like I'm really big on is like personal development professionally, but also personally. Because something I never
Hmm.
did was I hated reading. I only read if I had to read, like if it was for school. And now I read like on my free time. Like now,
I
like I have
know.
books around me and stuff like that. And like so, this is like this mentorship has helped me, like actually grow myself, and that's what my parents noticed, and they really liked it. But uh, I'll kind of touch upon the mentorship maybe in a little bit more, but I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to ask you, like, you kind of answered my question a little bit ago. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, like, if you ever had like a mentor before, things like that. I remember you mentioning you had like a mentor, I believe.
Yes. Yes, yes. Because I did a fellowship actually
Oh, okay.
on my last semester,
Uh-huh.
with the Career Center.
Mm.
Um, and I had to actually. I don't know if you've heard of her. Her name is Dr. Maria Loyola.
Oh,
I don't
I
know.
think I've heard. Yeah, I think I've heard of her. Yeah.
Yeah, she was my mentor, and the director for the
Okay.
career services, her name is God. Um, I shouldn't forget it because she was the one I worked. I can't remember her name, but she's like a tall lady. Kind of old
Yeah,
already,
I think yeah,
but
qué viejita.
she was really sweet. Yeah, I can't remember her name. I wish I remembered it, but I'm like totally blanking out because I worked with her for a couple months actually. And yeah, they helped me develop a lot professionally too. Like they actually helped me build my resume, which I had never even done before either.
Wow.
So it was a lot of definitely a lot of growing that last semester. I started like communicating better with others, like because it takes me a while to to be, I don't know, like comfortable and like engaging more in conversation. Not that I
Hmm.
don't want to, but it's like I'm shy.
Yeah, it's like hard for you to kind of
Yeah.
like break out of your shell. I understand.
Oh yes, exactly.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, once I started doing it, and I also joined um not clubs, but I volunteered as well at the Monarch Center. I don't know if you know where that is.
Monarch Center.
Uh-huh. It's in the library on the first floor, but it's kind of hidden. I think that's why a lot of people don't know
Oh,
where it
wait,
is
I
because
think I
it's
know where
kind
it's
of
at. I
hidden.
think I know where it's at. It's in the like if like you're going to like that little store, but across from it, right?
Yeah, and it's right next to the Lantern Cafe.
Yes.
It's literally like the hallway, like next to it. So like the right. You know how there's a hallway and
Yeah,
like te
yeah,
vas
yeah,
por
yeah,
ahí
yeah.
and like yeah,
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know where. I know where.
yeah. So it's there, and I volunteered there too, and it was like such a nice time. So yeah, I did all of that during my last semester. That's why it was so like hectic. Um, but yeah, and yeah, they were my mentors a lot, and I was able to like talk to them like um more closely than like anyone,
Yeah.
like not even my what's it called, my academic advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if it's the same for you because I know they have for different majors, there's like different
Different academic advisors, yeah.
yes, yeah. And for Shaw, for the School of Social Sciences and Humanities, it was bad. It was so hard to be able to get an appointment with them. It sucked literally the whole time I was there.
I'm just nodding because I still can't get an appointment with my academic advisor.
Really? Oh, I thought it was
Yes.
just
Literally 2 years in a row. Like I'm just like I go into walk-in hours. There's like 50 people there. I'm
oh my
like
God,
what? Like
I
what's going on?
know.
Like I was literally gonna go today before our meeting, and
Oh my
I
God.
ended up just not going because I'm like there was a line, and I'm like, all right, like no, like I'm away here, and like it's gonna be like 5 p.m. when I talk to her, and she's like, oh sorry, like my hours are done. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, so
exactly. That's what happened
it's
to
so
me a
frustrating.
lot of times. I was like, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I want to go home. I'm here trying to talk to you. And then a la mera hora, she's like, sorry, I closed.
Yeah, it's
Like
like
her
what?
walk-in hours closed. And I'm like, I wanted to start crying.
Yeah, no, that would happen to me too. And then I would book like a little 15-minute appointment. I'm like, you better make it more because like 15 minutes is not cutting it.
I
Like I
know,
just
I
started and
know,
like you're already sending me out of your room.
I
Like
know.
no, like I need to keep talking to you.
Exactly. I was like, I need so much help. 15 minutes is not even enough.
No, yeah.
Yeah, so once I learned that, I was like, okay, maybe I should try to like um talk to someone else somewhere
Hmm.
else.
Yeah.
And then that's when I through the Monarch Center I discovered the Career Center.
Okay.
Um and I just remember the my mentor's name. Her name was Liz. It's Elizabeth, but
Okay.
everyone calls her Liz.
Liz. Okay.
Yeah. And she was the one I did my fellowship with. And that
Oh
was
wow.
actually a big thing for me because I worked with her like one on one.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I worked on like this big project for first gen students.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, being a first gen myself, I was like, okay, I wanna,
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, I wanna do this. Um, and yeah, I worked with her, and then at the end of my fellowship, I presented it at a showcase. So it had those two components.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, presenting like in front of a lot of people,
Oh
it
yeah.
was scary, it was intimidating, but I was like, well, I'm already here. I have to do it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I worked a lot, and it was pretty time consuming, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it was like really rewarding because I was learning, I was growing professionally, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like talking about a community of students on campus, and also myself and like a lot of other students at the same time. So I was like, yeah, I wanna. I was scared, but then at the same time, I was excited to present my work and what I had done.
Mm-hmm.
And that really helped me grow professionally as well. I had to dress professionally that
Yeah.
day too.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Of course. No. Yeah. That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I appreciate you sharing that with me. So like, you know, I feel like you gained a lot of experience. Like professionally and personally. Like working closely, like one on
yeah,
one with your mentor, and that's something that's like irreplaceable almost. Because she kind of helped
yeah,
you a lot. Grow, and
yeah. I was really inspired by both of them.
oh, definitely. No, yeah, I can definitely see that. Um, it kind of like leads me to ask you, like I know you're kind of like growing a lot. You're working on big projects. Very time consuming. You're still like
Yeah,
a full time college student. You're still trying to
yeah, I
yeah,
was.
like you're still trying to do your own things. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like what made you like want to be so motivated? Like what made you kind of like want to keep pushing forward? Despite like all these
Hmm.
distractions, parties, things like that, friends. Oh, let's go get like food or let's. I wouldn't say go to Merced Mall because there's nothing there. But like kind of like like these like small distractions. Like what kept you
Yeah.
motivated? Through all that, like wanting to finish the project and graduate. Like.
Um, God, I mean, it's a lot of different things, but for sure, just kind of seeing like the bigger picture of what I was doing
Mm-hmm.
and who it was for. Like it wasn't just for me,
Uh huh.
but then also knowing like although it was hard to like manage school because on top of like this work that I was doing on the side, I still had like my classes.
Exactly. No, yeah, yeah, that's what I thought
And
about. I'm like, well, that's a lot of work, and like,
yeah, yeah, I was like completely, I almost was like burned out by the end.
yeah,
Because I mean, my classes were pretty heavy too, like um sociology classes and just like social studies classes in general. We write a lot
it's
of
a lot of
papers.
notes. I was about to say, like
Yes,
you're gonna be going through notebooks. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, it was a lot. But although it was hard, just knowing that I was gonna get to learn something new and
Mm.
something that I genuinely was like interested in, helped me like move past it and just keep pushing myself to like present something that I felt proud of
Mhm.
and that I knew others were gonna find help through, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and yeah, that's what kept me inspired. But it's not like also to say, I mean, I'm not much of like I'm not used to going out like that either.
Yeah.
I want to say all through my college and high and university experience, I was never really like going out parties and stuff like that. I barely
Hey,
even saw my friends
that
through my whole time there because we were just so busy. It
yeah.
was hard to make time to see each other outside of like our classes.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, at the very few times we did, it was nice to see her.
Oh.
So there, honestly, to say for myself, like I didn't have that many distractions.
Mhm.
It's also not like I am very. I guess when something interests me and I care about something so much, especially like when it comes to school and my projects and all that, I'm like very committed
Mm.
and I'm very driven to, do it and do it right. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not easily distracted
Mm. Okay.
by like whatever it could be, even if it's like a person or a party, something like that. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
like I'm way too busy. I have
Yeah.
priorities. This has
Okay.
to be
So
done.
you're like able to manage your yeah. See, for me on the other hand, it's like I'm doing my work, like I'm locking in. My first day, someone knocks on my door. Hey, Chris, bro, like let's go like a party right now. I'm like, oh, I got this
Yeah,
going on. They're like, oh, but like I got a free ride. Let's go. So I'm like, I'm super easily persuaded. I wish I was like you, man.
yeah,
Oh man.
yeah, and it's not something that I was just like that happened there, like during my time at UC Merced or like in college. I've always usually been like that
Mhm.
since like middle school, high school.
Yeah.
I've never been the one to get in trouble. I never got in trouble at all.
Hey, no, that's good.
Um, yeah, and it's also because my mom, she taught me a lot of discipline.
Mm.
And she said there's always consequences for your actions, whether they're good or bad. Just to remember that there's
Mm.
always consequences.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um, but then she was also kind of strict. Like she was like, no, like, you're not gonna do this, you're not gonna do that, blah blah
Hispanic
blah.
parents. I can
Oh
definitely relate.
yeah,
I can definitely relate.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like they were like, no, you're gonna work or go to school, and
Literally,
I was like,
same thing. They're
okay,
like, if you're not in school, you're working. If you're not working, you're in school.
yeah, literally, because that's all they know how to do.
Mhm.
It's what they've had to do to survive. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
not a bad thing,
Yeah.
but I mean, for us when we're young, it's hard to see that
It
because
is.
all we want to do is just go with our friends
Yeah.
and not do anything and follow their lead, whether it's good or bad.
Exactly. Exactly. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, yeah, I kind of went like everywhere there, but
No, you're good. You're
sorry.
good. No, you're totally fine. Yeah. No, I love listening. But no, yeah. Like I appreciate you sharing that. And lucky for you, you didn't have that many distractions, unlike me. But
Yeah,
maybe let me like,
but it can be hard.
yeah.
So, yeah, don't feel bad because yeah, it's kind of like you don't want to feel left out, you
Oh yeah,
know?
no, yeah, I know. You don't want
Um,
to be left out, like be like the only one, like there, and
exactly.
that would happen to me a lot. But then like I was like, okay, when I was actually very like committed on wanting to change, like like on who I hung out with,
Hmm.
what I started doing, I would like purposely like I would hang out in other dorms with other friends, like
Hmm.
so I dormed in like Upper Tau. But a lot of my friends,
Oh,
who were
okay.
smarter than me, they were like in Granite, and so I'm like, okay, you know what? I would be in Granite just studying with them till like 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and then I don't go back to my dorm
Oh my
because
God.
all my friends knew where to find me. They would just come knock on my door. hey, like let's go do this. And so I would just like not be in my dorm because I knew if I was there, they would get me. And so I was like, no, I need
Yeah.
to set myself
You were
up.
like running from them.
Yeah, I felt bad like running from them, but I'm like, oh, I was busy doing home. And then they hit me up, like, hey, Chris, where you at? Like, there's a party today. I'm like, hey, I'm studying, have a midterm. Oh, okay. Oh, it's fine, but like you can study for it like after the. I'm like, no,
Yeah,
like
no.
it's coming up. Like I gotta lock in for it. Like I gotta see. Like if I fail, I'm cooked. If I pass, I'm good. So
Yeah.
no, yeah, but no.
And I mean, because you dorm, that's like, I guess it's normal for that to happen. I didn't dorm there because
Mm,
I don't live too far away, so I
yeah,
didn't see the point
yeah.
in dorming. But I feel like if I was going to dorm there, it's not like I was gonna have like a lot of friends to like distract me anyway. But I probably would have probably explored outside more stuff outside of school.
Uh huh.
I don't know about like partying and all that because I'm like I have zero energy for anything like that. But
Nah, it's totally
um,
fine.
I mean, yeah, I would have had more time to just hang out with my friends. Um, and yeah, just spend more time with her and do things outside of school. But I know for a fact I would have not been easily distracted
Mhm.
because I'm pretty focused when I'm doing something that
Mhm.
I really love. And also just having a deadline there, it's
Yeah.
like no.
I know what you mean.
Just
Yeah.
knowing there's a deadline for everything, it's also what keeps me up. Like, oh no, I
Yeah.
cannot miss this deadline.
No. Yeah. No. Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. It seems like you're someone who's very, like you're able to, really like be able to kind of like focus on your priorities and you kind of like actually
Yeah,
like know kind of like all right when can I do things when can I not so
yeah. It's
that's a
because
really good skill.
yeah, it all comes down to like just being responsible
Mhm.
and being disciplined and really sticking to that even when it's hard. Because it is hard. It gets hard.
No, yeah, no, definitely, yeah. That's kind of what I wanted to ask. Like, how did you like kind of manage, to stay like disciplined and like like you know, motivated, like throughout like like this kind of like this whole time, and
Mhm.
kind of like another question on top of that, I know this one kind of doesn't really align with it, but it sort of does. I wanted to ask, like like if you were to kind of picture yourself maybe in the future, like how would you picture yourself, like wanting to live your life? Like I'm not sure if you've thought about that because I know like well at least for most college students that I talk to, like sometimes I just like to ask them that question, like how do you want to live your life? I ask them. Sometimes they don't even know the question, so I'm like dang, like I got to think about that
Yeah,
question too, so I kind of want to ask you like how do you want to live your life and yeah, I mean
I mean, yeah, it's a loaded question because it's like, oh my God, you don't even know. Like, I wish I knew the future.
oh yeah.
Yeah. But honestly, for sure, working in what I studied for,
Mm,
because I really want to go into some kind of like social work with kids, if that
yeah.
makes sense. Because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here's like the other part. I am the oldest in my family.
Okay, okay.
That already sets you up.
It's like sets the
That
bar.
already sets like the expectation so high.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I have five other siblings.
Oh.
After before or after me.
Mhm.
And I'm the oldest, so that already like teaches you responsibility.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's another thing. So yeah, so when I think about how I want to live my life, definitely for sure having being responsible with whatever comes after,
Mhm.
but definitely still like learning and growing. I feel like I that's why I liked college so much. And I didn't even know I was gonna like it, but I did. That's because it gave me an opportunity to like really learn so much
Mhm.
that we don't usually get taught in high school.
Yeah.
Um, I realized that a lot of the things that we get taught in high school, I mean, don't really help, if that makes sense.
They don't. Like I'm never
Like
using geometry again. Like never.
they just make you hate school.
Literally.
But it doesn't really like open your mind to like other things
Like yeah.
that you hadn't like thought about before. That's what happened to me until I got to college. I was like, oh wow, this is crazy. I can't believe I'm learning. And then that's when I really knew I loved sociology
Mm-hmm.
because we talked about literally anything like race. Race is so huge.
Mm-hmm.
Gender, sexuality, family, like anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I really grew a lot learning about all those different things. Um, but yeah, I am against. I literally just went around the question.
Nah, you're good. You're good.
But yeah, I mean that's all to say that I want to keep on learning about those things
Mm-hmm.
later on in life, but also being more stable as
Mm.
well. Because right now I'm still living with my parents,
Mm. Okay.
um, and I feel like at some point I do want to live by myself.
Mm-hmm.
um, Having a like a good, reliable, stable job. Um, but definitely in what I like, what had like
And
how I
what you
said
studied
before,
for.
like yeah, what I studied
Mm-hmm.
for because I'm genuinely like inspired by it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously helping my family because I have a big family.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's one
um,
of like my like how I see myself in my life. Definitely like paying back to my
yeah,
family. Because they
yeah,
came from Mexico. They tried their best to give me the best life, and they
hmm
had kids very young. I'm not sure when your parents had you, but my mom, she had my older
yeah.
brother.
My mom was like my age. She had me. So I'm like, yeah, you were so young. I cannot even picture myself having kids right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, my mom was like 17 when she had my brother. So
Oh,
it was like she was really
yeah,
young
that's
too.
even young.
Like 17, 18 around there. I remember that because she had me at like
Yeah.
21 or 22, I think. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, so I have an older brother. He's like 25, but yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, I feel like that we both like resonate with that, wanting to kind of help our families
Yeah.
and no, yeah, having a stable
Yeah.
job, from actually our degree, because I'm not trying to come to college
Yeah.
and not work something that I didn't study for, so it's like
I know.
like make it make sense, huh? Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, yeah, like I appreciate you sharing that, and kind of actually having some sort of idea, because I actually ask people that question, they're like, I don't know, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah, and
like
I want to say that. I'm like, I don't know.
yeah, no, 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 you're totally good. I mean, like, I know it's kind of on the spot, but I mean, yeah, you could think about it, stuff like that. You don't have to, like, uh, like, tell me everything
There's
now.
definitely not like a like definitive set answer for that
Mm-hmm.
question
No, yeah, of
because
course.
it's like it's yeah, you I don't know, it's hard to like plan for the future because you don't know what's gonna happen.
Mm,
But at the same time it's like you have to have a plan
yeah,
for it.
no, yeah,
So it's like it's hard,
I see that. I see that. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, as long as I'm still learning and growing and working and obviously helping my family, but also like our community,
That's
especially
awesome.
now,
Yeah.
it's like we need to be doing so much for each other.
No, really, yeah.
Um, with everything going on, like I can go on like a whole, and that's why like I understand it like it makes me so angry, and then I'm also passionate about it because through school, I don't know if it was like for you, but like I know for me, because of what I've learned and what I know now that I didn't know before,
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to understand really like our community a lot more deeper and appreciate it more than what I did back then.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when it's like, we're when they're attacking us and saying all these things about us, I'm just like it makes me so angry because everything is a lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like obviously we know it. Like it's our community. We grew up in this with our parents and in this way and just knowing everything we know and everything they've been through and what we've been through, it's yeah, it's very disappointing. But I think it's also showing up for my community in that way too and using my education
Mm-hmm.
um to do that.
No, definitely,
With
definitely,
it's
yeah.
something I want to keep doing.
That's awesome, Fernanda. Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that. Something that like I kind of got from all this is that you're really big on wanting to help people. You have like a bit like
Yes.
you have a big heart and passion for helping other people, and not just
Oh
people
yeah.
but like you said, our community, people that you don't know, and
Yeah.
you're leveraging your education, what because most likely they don't know because they're not educated on it, and so you're helping
Hmm.
them understand. And I feel the same way, because especially with my parents, my dad. He has a small little business. It's like a taco truck, and so like remember my freshman year, I
Oh,
was learning
I
about
love
this.
those.
No, yeah, oh my gosh, he like, don't even get me started on that.
I know.
I'm gonna get sidetracked on that, but no, his quesadillas, so fire. I love
Oh,
them.
I know.
But pretty much like he was asking me for help, with his business, and little freshman Chris, I'm like, oh dad, I'm studying business, I can let me help you. And so
Yeah.
he's like asking me all these questions, things like that. I'm like, I'm not really sure, dad. I'm like, but let me ask my professor, so like I was taking
Oh,
econ, I was
wow.
taking econ 1 at the time, and I was learning about like competitive businesses, things like that. And then we start talking about taco trucks. I'm like, hey yo, like I was gonna ask you this question at the end of the class, and you're talking about taco trucks. Like this is amazing. Like I just took notes. I shared it back with my dad, and I even asked him like like for advice for my dad's taco truck after like the end of it. And I was really able to help my dad, and I felt good because I was like, man, because I had this opportunity to go to college, I'm able to help my dad, but not just him, like other people as well. And so like that's something that I got from that you obviously you want to be financially stable, you want to work a job that's in your field, what you study for, and you want to help other people while you're
Yeah.
doing all that, while still learning and developing yourself. And you know that's amazing. Some most people don't know what they want to do, and some people maybe give me like one out of those like three or five that you said, so it's like it shows definitely that that you want to keep growing, not just stay like complacent or stagnant, and so
Yeah.
that's amazing because I remember for me, very similar to like when my business partner, he kind of asked me that question. I was kind of just like you, like, oh, like I love helping people, not because like I want something in return, but I just genuinely like helping people, when it comes to like just
Mm-hmm.
putting myself for them. And so you know that's like really good. I feel like most Latinos are like that. I don't want to say all, but I feel like most Latinos, like they
Yeah.
like putting other people before themselves, which is it's
Yeah.
almost like a double edged sword. Sometimes it might benefit you, sometimes it might not. But
I know.
but it is good
No,
at the end of the day,
yeah.
because you're very like empathetic, and so
Oh, yes.
I feel like that
Yes, I am.
is very important when it
Yeah,
comes
and
to
I feel like that's like you said, most of us are like that, and it's just in our nature to be like
yeah,
that. That's what we've been taught. So,
exactly,
and it's a good thing. So it's like,
yeah.
why not keep on building on that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, of course, yeah. And you know sorry, I don't mean to like super shift topics here, but I do remember I mentioned a little bit about what was it, mentorship earlier, and I kind of wanted to tell you a little bit
Yeah.
more about my mentor because I know you shared about your mentor.
Yeah.
I never even told you my mentor's name. So my mentor's name, his name is Phil, and
Okay.
just like you and me, he's actually an immigrant, not from Mexico, but an immigrant from Vietnam. And so he
Mm-hmm.
actually immigrated from Vietnam when he was like 18 years old, and he came to the
Mm-hmm.
U.S. He was like 18, broken English, like he barely like even like have a conversation with someone, not because he didn't know how to, but because, well, yeah, I mean he didn't know
You
how to,
didn't know.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he was like a dishwasher, so like
Oh, wow.
he came, thought, thinking, just being here was the American dream. And he got here, he kind of saw the ugly reality. He's just a dishwasher, doesn't really know how to like communicate. And through time, he was actually how would you say, he was actually like someone opened the door to him, with this opportunity. And because he came from Vietnam, I don't like to say like I mean, I usually don't say this, but I feel like most immigrants have this immigrant hustle, like we want to like do more because like there's more pressure on
Yes.
us, like we feel like like first gen, like you're the first person to go to college in your family, me too, so I feel like that pressure's on me,
Yeah.
like, all right, I gotta be something, like I can't just go to
Yeah.
college and not. And so he was the first one to come over here to the US. His family's back in Vietnam, and he's like, like, all right, mom, like I'm gonna take care of you guys. And so he was actually opened the doors, to this business opportunity. And because of it, he was 18 at the time when he started it. He was a college student at SJSU, while working part-time as a dishwasher. But by the time he was 22 years old, he was actually able to retire himself, with this business. And when I first heard that, I was like, at first I was really surprised,
Mm-hmm.
and then the second part I was really skeptical. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
18, 22. I'm like, that's like what,
I know that.
four? That's like 4 years. I'm like, how did he do that? I was really like,
Yeah.
I was questioning that. I'm like, okay, the first time, like, all right, this guy's like moving drugs or something. Like he's doing something illegal, right? And then I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, okay, like maybe just give him the benefit of the doubt, And then I find
Yeah.
out, he retired his mom at 23, and then he retired his dad at 24. And then I'm like, okay,
Oh wow.
maybe it stopped there, right? And then I was like, and then at 25, he sponsored both of his parents from Vietnam, and he flew them
Oh
to the
wow.
U.S. and actually brought them over here. And I honestly don't know how much it is to sponsor someone, but I think it's a lot of money. uh,
Yes, it is.
yeah, and so when I heard that story, I was very like wait, like how did he do that? Like I want to learn from this guy. Like let me meet him. And so you know, kind of, after hearing that, yes, I had my skepticism, and it'd be weird if you weren't skeptical, because like when I
Mm-hmm.
first heard that, I was very like, okay, I was like, oh, like más o menos, I was like on the edge, and so I'm open
Yeah.
minded. I'm like, all right, let me hear him out, so after I kind of heard that, I was, more intrigued, into this business opportunity. All right, like I want to learn more about this business, like, like how did he do it? And so
Mm-hmm.
I actually had, the opportunity, to get to meet him, to get to meet my mentor, Phil. And it was really like a very surreal experience because you know I actually was able to see some materials from him because like he makes like these audios that kind of teach me and other my business partners about like the business owner mindset and like what entrepreneurship really is and kind of like these materials that help us learn and grow. And so
Uh-huh.
you know right now I'd say what we're meeting, we're just getting to know one another. And I'd say technically this is like what, like the first step out of like the 7 steps in the whole selection process. And so I was on the third step of the process and I got the chance to meet him. I went to an in-person meeting. It was in San Jose actually, by the way. And it was at
Oh,
it
okay.
was at like a hotel. And it was like a business like conference, like professional. And so I was like, oh, like
Oh,
I've never been to one of these. So I was like, I was scared, I was like nervous. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
let me dress up good actually. I tied my tie. It was like super short, but I buttoned up my thing so you couldn't see that it was short. And I was gonna drive myself there, but my mom was like, "No, you don't know these people. You said your mentor is Asian. He's gonna rob you. No, like let me take you." And
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, "Mom, like stop. Like what is wrong?" And so my mom drove me. It was like an hour and something. I remember I was late to the meeting too. Like it was so bad. There was traffic. I was late, and then I was like, okay, like he's not even gonna be there. Yeah, I wasted like this guy's time. I feel so bad. I get there.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the meeting. Like there's no meeting. Like it's gone. It's late. I walk out so sad. Then I text Tona. I'm like, hey Tona, like I'm here, but like where's the meeting? Like I don't know where it's at. I'm lost. I'm in the lobby of the hotel, but I don't see any meeting. And so he comes down, he gets me like, oh, it's on the second floor. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't know that. So I go
Yeah.
up there, I go to the meeting, and I was expecting something super professional, like sitting upright, like you can't talk or nothing like that. And I go in there, and it
Mm.
was completely the opposite. People were talking, people were, networking, people were like, like actually like clapping and cheering on stage and stuff like that. And so I'm like, what? Like me, I'm an extroverted person, but when I'm in an environment that I don't know, I'm kind of shy. I'm
Exactly.
like just looking around. I'm like, like like what's going on? And then they're like,
Yeah.
oh, Christopher, like like it's your first time here, like coming to like one of these business meetings and like introduce yourself. I'm like, huh? There's like people like sitting down in rows, and I'm like, get up in the mic and talk. Like what? Like
Yeah.
I don't know you guys. Who are you? Like what? Like I get up there. Hey, my name's Christopher Castañeda. Tona invited me today. Yeah. Here again, I was like super awkward, and so you know pretty much after that, like at the end of the meeting, I was able to learn a lot more about the business, like how the money works, things like that. So like after seeing that, I'm like, oh, I want to do this. But once the meeting ended, I actually got the chance to meet my mentor, and so I asked him. I'm like, no, like I gotta meet, like ask him the question. Hey, are you a scammer? Like, hey, like what are you doing? Because like I need to know. Cause like how did you retire? Like if you retired at 22, I want to do that too. And so
Yeah.
I went up to him, I'm like, hey Phil, like professional, because I was like, wait, this is the guy I see on the videos. Like, you make all these videos, like, like just like talking to you is like, oh my gosh, it's like an honor. So I shook his hand. I'm like, hey Phil, nice to meet you. My name's Christopher. Da 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 da. Like, I'm going to UC Merced. Um, and then he was like, okay, Christopher, like nice to meet you. This and that. And I asked him, I'm like, hey Phil, so if what you're doing is legal and ethical, I'm like, can you be my mentor? And so like I was like straight up like me, like I'm no filter. Like I told him, hey bro, like if what you're doing is legal and ethical, like I already went down that road once. I'm not gonna go down again. So like
Yeah.
be just straight up with me. Like if legal and
Imagine you
ethical.
could have said, I've been arrested before.
No, no, and I did share that with him. I'm gonna be honest. Like I shared with him after, and I'll let you know right now what I said. So I was like, if what you're doing is legal, ethical, can you be my mentor? And so he asked me. He's like, Christopher. He was like, thousands of people asking that question. Every single business conference, every single, big meeting. He's like, what makes you different from everybody else? And man, that question, it had me stumped. I'm like, a little 18-year-old or 19-year-old at the time, and I was going to this meeting, some room full of professionals. Yeah, there was other college students like me too learning about it, but they were full suits and tie. The tie was right. My tie was not right. And so I was like, man, so like, I'm like, what makes me different? I'm over here thinking. I'm like, oh, perfect idea. Pull out my phone, whip out my resume. I started working at 15. I have cash handling. I have all that. I was selling myself. And like before I even get to like the second job, he's like, all right, you can put your phone away. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, just like stop. And I'm like, okay. Put my phone away. He was like, your resume tells me nothing about you. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you know how many people lie on the resumes? And I was like,
I know.
I've never lied on my resume. Dang, like you're
I know.
like now I feel like I should have lied on my resumes. But and then so like I was like, oh, okay. And then he was like, what I look for in a business partner is someone who's accountable, someone who has integrity, someone who can communicate with one another. And I was like, what do you mean? Like all these things, I was like, oh, but these things sound super easy. And then he was like,
Yeah.
he's like, I look for people, who, like if you say you're gonna do something, you actually do it. Like you keep your word to it.
Mhm.
And so when I started thinking about this, I'm like, man, like this guy has a point. So pretty much what he made me realize there is that he chooses character over credentials. And
Mm.
I told him because I was like, hey, Phil, like I'm interested in learning. Like I want you to be my mentor, but like I have a past. Like I got arrested. Um, so like would that like put me at a disadvantage, things like that. He's like, I don't look at credentials, Christopher. He's like, I look at character. If you're someone who's like ambitious, if you're someone who wants to like put your best foot forward and like be coachable essentially, then pretty much just like the perfect partner pretty much. And so to
Yeah.
me, I was like, oh, like he doesn't even care that I was, like convicted of felon. He doesn't care that I was arrested. He doesn't, like it doesn't matter if I lied or if I didn't lie on my resume. But what he looks for is
Mhm.
character. And so after I kind of like I just had that, I was like just thinking. I was like my mind was already like it was like like the gears were grinding because me. I'm someone who lacks that critical thinking. Like it takes me some time. Like I gotta stop doing whatever I'm doing to just think. Cause
Yeah.
I'm someone who just do something. I'm like, wait, why did I do that? And then I think about it after. So I gotta think things first. So at the time, I was like, man, like that question just had me thinking. He's like, all right, yeah. But he's like, no, Christopher. He's like, well, I like that question. He's like, I want to see you at like the next meeting if is like if possible. And so after that I was like, man, like I want to keep learning about this business. I want to, keep growing and learning because throughout the whole process I wasn't paying a single dollar. I'm like, the only thing I'm paying with is my time into learning
Yeah.
something, but I'm doing it in college already, or and I'm paying for it. So it's like here
Yeah.
is like I'm getting free knowledge, and all I'm really doing is just showing up. That's really all it was.
Mhm.
And so you know, after that, I just kind of kept coming to the meetings. I kept learning more about the business, and I was like, man, this is actually like really interesting. And so I don't want to say it was more the business that was interesting, but it was more the mentorship because what this opportunity is yes, it's a business opportunity, but it's much more than that. I'd say it's like also like a mentorship opportunity because I know us as like first gen, like students, we don't really have, someone to really look up to because, our parents never really went, through what we went through because like we're like firstly doing
Yeah.
it. And so having the opportunity to have like a mentor, I was like, man, like this is something I really want, like I want to have a mentor. I want to have a coach. Um, I want to have business partners, people I can ask questions to and actually learn from. And so I'd say the mentorship helped me a lot, like develop myself when it came to like quitting like bad habits. Like I remember I was able to actually like quit smoking. I was like sober for like 264 days, like and counting. So I was like, man, I'm like able to like actually quit these addictions. I'm able to like actually think about goals and dreams. Like before I didn't even know when I wanted to like buy like my first house, and now I know like okay, how much like is the house, how many bedrooms I want to have in my house, like when do I want to retire my mom, so like after like these things I'm like, man, like these people actually have dreams and goals, and everybody who I'm hanging around with, like, man, like I asked them like, hey, what are your goals? They're like, bro, I'm just trying to finish this midterm, and like after that I'm gonna go party. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You haven't thought after college, like, so like that's what kind of got me scared because I'm like, man, like I don't want to like just kind of be like stuck in this cycle. Yeah, like after college, go to work and then come out. And I'd say my biggest reason of like not wanting to like yes, I'm not putting down 9 to 5s. I worked one.
Mhm.
I was last summer I worked at Wells Fargo as a bank teller. I worked full time. It was my first ever time working full time. I love the money, but man, I was there for like half like my whole like my whole day, and it's like 5 days a week, 6 days a week. So it was like I experienced it firsthand for like 3 months. My whole summer I was just working full time. It was an awesome experience. I
Uh-huh.
loved the work environment, but at the same time I was like, man, can I really see myself doing this like for like the rest of my life until like what, like 20, 30 years? And the only reason I asked myself that was because I had a coworker there. Amazing coworker. I love her. Her name was Cynthia. She pretty much taught me the
Mhm.
ropes. She was helping me a lot. She was there for like 19 years. And we talked a lot. She said, "Oh, Chris, like, it's awesome you're here and this and that. You should stay here." And I was like, I was debating it. I was like, "Oh, should I stay here, work full time, or should I go back to college?" And so I'm like, "Nah, I gotta go back. Let's see if they can transfer me." They weren't able to transfer me, but pretty much that's what kind of made me realize I'm like, I don't want to kind of be stuck in this loop of just working every single day of my life until then I'm like I retire and then I can live my
Yeah.
life. So I was like, okay. So kind of like with this mentorship taught me is, like if I can just delay my gratification just a little bit more than like the average people, like maybe work hard for like, my college years and a little bit more and then live the rest of my
Mhm.
life, being able to actually do what I want to do, go travel with my parents, like take them out, be able to like, hey mom, like stop working, like like I can take care of you, like whatever bills you have, like let me know, because that's always been like I'd say like at least my dream, like wanting to help my parents the most because they always put me, my sister, my brother like first. So like I know my goal. I want to put them first, when I can, and so pretty much like this is like what this mentorship kind of taught me, like to actually have values for myself because I stood on nothing, and so really like I'd say this mentorship in business really just helped me kind of actually want to like I'd say like, not want to be something but want to be more for myself.
Yeah.
And so you know that's pretty much that's like the gist of it. I know you're probably like, okay,
Mhm.
what's the business like, like tell me everything
Yeah.
about it. And like don't get me wrong, I will tell you everything. I know we've been on the meeting for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Usually they're only like, I promise, they're only like 45 minutes like to an hour, but we were kind of just talking so much I like didn't
Yeah.
even like kind of lost track of time. But so like we do have like a process that we kind of break everything down, and the reason is because like just like this, we don't like to have like 3 hour long meetings where it's like you're gonna get hungry, I'm gonna get tired, and then we're gonna get distracted. And so it's like we kind of like to break it down just so it's not a lot for people, especially like you know mostly like I kind of reach out to college students. I know you just graduated recently, so you might have more
Mhm.
time, I'm not sure. But we
Mhm.
kind of break it down into segments. So like I say like, the next step, like let's say we meet up again. I know you didn't meet my business partner now, but I've talked about him. His name is Tona. I'd love to introduce you to him. Maybe for the next step if you are still interested in moving on.
Mhm.
But we kind of like I'd say like show you like the business model, how it works in step two, and then in like the third step, I'd be able to show you like the company name, how the money works, and pretty much just like everything. You can pretty much see everything by like the third step. And so I'm not gonna charge you anything. I just want to see if you're interested in learning about it. But to give you like some like surface level, I'd say like knowledge, just so you're not like, okay, but like what is it? It's e-commerce and franchising. I'm not sure if you've heard about it before.
E-commerce and franchising, honestly, not that I can like think of. I've heard
Mm-hmm.
e-commerce before, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know like
No, you're
what
good.
it
You're good. No,
means,
if
like
you
what.
want, yeah, if you want, I can kind of break it down for you. Yeah, so e-commerce,
Mhm.
I can kind of give you like two perfect examples. So like think about Uber, for example. Uber, they own the app, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so they own an application, and so essentially Uber is like the middleman. So think of like my finger. This is Uber. This is the
Mhm.
app, right? And then think of this finger as like a driver. Someone who works for Uber. Like they use their own car and they download the Uber app. And then I don't have a third finger, but this person over here. So think about this person.
Yeah.
There's someone who has money. They need a ride. They don't have a car. Uber connects both of those things together, and in that transaction, yeah, maybe the driver at that time, he makes, like he makes most of the money in that transaction, which is what, maybe like 94% of the transaction. And Uber maybe makes like 6%. Why? Because Uber didn't do anything. Uber just connected them, like connected the two, and pretty much just kind of just assisted the transaction in like a very how'd you say, not really doing so much, but
Mhm.
the driver did most of the work. But to kind of give you like I'd say like a better reference point, Uber doesn't own any cars. They just own the app. So
Yeah.
Uber doesn't have to like, oh, okay, we need to take care of the cars, the insurance, all these things. No, that's so let's say I work for Uber. I have to use my car. I gotta pay for my
Yeah.
gas. So Uber was aware of that. They just or like let's think of something smart. Let's think about just being an adapter. So essentially, they just own an app, and people can sign up. They can drive their own cars. They can make money for themselves. But if you look at it from like a larger scale, who do you think's really making more money? Because there's transactions going on here in Merced, in San Jose, all around the world. Maybe Uber only makes like 6% from one transaction, and the driver makes 94%. Who makes more there?
The
The
driver, for
driver,
sure.
of course. Yeah, the driver.
Yeah.
He does all the work. He does all of it. So the driver should make most of the money. But if
Hmm.
you zoom out and you look at it from like a global perspective, six
Yeah, that's what
percent,
I
six
was
percent,
gonna.
6%, 6%, it's a lot, right? So it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So like I'd say that's kind of like an example of e-commerce. Another one can be like Airbnb. So Airbnb is also like an e-commerce business.
Oh,
They don't own any real estate, but they own an
yeah.
application. So
Yeah.
people use their own properties, people use their own houses, they put them up on Airbnb, and then people who want to rent that place, they do it. And so what Airbnb does is they connect those two people. They connect the person who has the money to spend to stay at that place, and then they connect the people who own the house, who own the real estate, and who put it on Airbnb. So boom. So Airbnb really doesn't do any work. All they do is essentially they're adapter. They're just a person who connects this person to this person and brings them together. And so that's like I'd say like the easiest understanding of like e-commerce of what it is. It's pretty much just
Hmm.
like a middleman, just something who connects two things together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I'd say for franchising, I can use like literally almost any fast food like McDonald's or Starbucks. Let's use
Yeah.
McDonald's for example. So McDonald's, they have a franchising system. So like at first there was only one McDonald's, and someone tried it like, oh, it's really good. They wanted to make another one. They're like, how can we create this into a system? And so when it comes to franchising, like you literally anywhere you go, like you'll see a McDonald's. It does not matter where, because there's so many now, but
Yeah.
that's because of their franchising. They know that you know it is, how would you say, it's simple, but it's not easy. And it's simple being because they have a drive-through. The menu's the same for every single McDonald's.
Mhm.
It's simple because when you're like, let's say I've never worked, but
Cause
I've had friends who've worked at McDonald's. They say that they have like sheets. It's super easy to make the burger. It's like like let me ask you, do you think McDonald's makes like the best cheeseburgers?
um, I don't know. I mean, I don't really. Well, for me, I kind of got tired of fast food places.
Mm-hmm.
um, I kind of like, I don't know, because when we were, well, growing up, it's not like we went like all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like now I'm kind of like, I don't know, like I don't really, they don't catch my attention as much as they used
Yeah.
to before.
No, I know what you mean.
But I would say maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
know.
me personally, I would say like the Pav makes better cheeseburgers, and that's saying something, because the Pav is like
I know I've heard so many people hate.
it's a hit or miss, So it's like me or you can probably make a better cheeseburger, So like it's not so much about the quality with McDonald's, but it's more about, okay, it's simple, Anybody can understand it.
Yeah.
Anybody can flip patties there and make a burger, You don't need to be an expert, is what I'm trying to kind of get at, I'd say. And
Hmm.
so, it's simple, but and the part of it not being easy is that it's a lot of money, to
Yeah.
get your own McDonald's. And I didn't know it's like $1.2 million. So I don't think if you or me combine all of our assets, we'd have that much money together. So
Yeah.
um, that's why it's kind of not easy, and kind of bringing that to trying to connect it to, I'd say, like my business is this business is very simple. There's not that many things you really need to do, but it's not easy because we're human.
Yeah.
We're emotional. We have life. We got school. We got jobs. We have partners, relationships, things like that. So it's like we always
Yeah.
have things going on in our life. Like just recently I had a problem with my
Yeah.
car. So it's like there's like so like it's human nature. Like it's inevitable. We're always gonna have
Yeah.
something going on. And so
Yeah.
that's like the most, I'd say, like surface level. Kind of like answer I can kind of give you. Um, I could tell you like a lot more, but in, I don't want to go too more in depth, and then like the time, and then I do
Yeah.
have another meeting around, I think, like 5 or 6. And so
Oh, okay.
yeah, but
Okay,
I
yeah.
mean, it was awesome talking to you. Do you have like any questions, comments, concerns?
Um, I feel like I should, but I kind of don't.
I know it was a lot,
Um,
so like, trust me,
yeah,
you're gonna get questions. So when you do, you can just text me on LinkedIn,
yeah.
or my email. You have that now too. And I actually wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask: are you someone who likes to read, or are you someone who likes to watch videos?
Honestly, I'm a little bit of both, but because I'm also a visual learner, so I
Mm.
feel like when it comes to videos, when I see someone else do it,
Mhm.
um, it's easier for me to know how to do it, like
Mhm.
learn it that way.
Okay.
But I also do enjoy reading,
Okay.
so yeah, I'm a little bit in between.
Okay. No. Yeah. So
Yeah.
no, like the reason I was asking was because, I actually have some, some material that my mentor, he kind of, suggests that we kind of send out, like after we kind of meet up the first time. I have a book. It's like
Okay.
the shortened version. It's called Business of the 21st Century. I'm not sure if you've heard of it or not. It's
Not
by
really, no.
this famous author called Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote the
Uh-huh.
book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. Most people know
Mhm.
that book. I'm not sure if you do or not, but
I don't.
no, you're
I
good.
don't.
You're good. You're good. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good book. I remember I read it, when I was kind of going through the process. If I'm being honest, it
Mhm.
took me a long time to read it because I was not a reader. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, a video, send me that. Like, I love audios.
I
Like, I
know.
love videos. Like, I watch that anytime. And so,
Uh-huh.
no, yeah, I mean, if you like, I could send you the video because, I mean, just like you, I'm a visual learner. So, when it came to like
Yeah.
speaking and actually seeing my mentor and like him kind of drawing the things out, I was able to learn it a lot better. So,
Yeah.
I'd actually like to kind of send you a video. It's called Why Entrepreneurship, and it's
Okay.
gonna like dive deeper into like entrepreneurship and like the mindset behind it as well. And you actually get a chance to see
Okay.
my mentor, and he'll kind of like show you some visuals as well. So I feel like that might help you kind of
Okay.
understand and maybe declutter a little bit. But you most
Okay.
likely will have questions, so just feel free to shoot me, like an email or on LinkedIn. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna lie, I was gonna say because just like you, I kind of lack checking my LinkedIn sometimes.
Yeah.
Something I do check like 24/7, or not 24/7, but something I see like a lot more is messages. So I want to ask you, like, would it be possible if we can exchange contacts? Like, you can just like stay
Yeah.
in contact better, like through phone number. Just because when I get a
Yeah.
message, I'll see that instead of like a LinkedIn thing. Because when there's LinkedIn, I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's
oh,
because like what makes it hard is that on LinkedIn it's not just your messages, like there's so many
no. And
other
for me too, it's like, oh,
notifications.
someone posted this or someone followed you or someone did, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm like, okay. And then now when I go on it, and then I'm like, oh wait, I have like 10 messages. Like what? Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Like yeah. So yeah, that's why I check my messages like a lot more than like my LinkedIn. I'm trying to get better at it though. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, me too.
No, yeah, and that's awesome. That's awesome. But no, yeah. So here I can actually let me just put my phone number here in the chat.
Okay. And I'll take a picture of it and I'll send you a message.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, I kind of don't want to keep you any longer. I know we've kind of been on here almost 2 hours. Sorry,
Yeah, it's
I didn't mean to take so much
crazy.
of your time. I'm not sure
But
if you
that's
were busy
okay.
or if you had things going on right now.
Not right now, but later on, yeah. But
Okay, no,
it's
yeah,
okay.
because I do
It's
remember you
okay.
asking me if the meeting was gonna be long. I'm like, oh no, like hopefully she didn't have anything because I didn't. Man, we were kind of just talking a lot.
No, no, I usually in the morning is when I'm mostly busy, not in
Mm,
the afternoon. But
okay, okay.
I'm not mad because I actually enjoyed the
That's
conversation I
not
had
no,
with
that's no.
you.
Likewise.
I really liked learning more about you, and yeah, so I feel like I it went by pretty fast.
No, yeah, it did go by pretty. Yeah, I didn't even like notice it until I looked at the time. I'm like, oh wait, I have a meeting later, so I was like, I kind
Yeah,
of need to
no,
wrap
then
this one
yeah,
up.
so I understand you have other stuff going on, so no,
No,
it's
no, thank
okay.
you, I appreciate that. But no, yeah, we could definitely stay in touch. I sent my number there. Yeah, you could just shoot me a message and I can save your number.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'll send you the video. It's gonna be like an hour long. It shouldn't take so much of your time. But yeah.
Okay.
Mm. Once you kind of finish that, I'd maybe recommend maybe like, maybe taking some notes on it or like, maybe like trying to like reflect on it and like, think about, like
Okay.
maybe like what you got, like maybe takeaways, things like that. And yeah,
Okay.
maybe just relay them back to me so I can kind of, see like what you thought about it. Cause,
Okay.
someone always says something different when they see the video. I know what I said. I was like, oh man, I learned this, and I just gave a summary of what it was. But I mean, it was something. And But yeah, no, yeah. And so maybe once you finish that, we can find a date and time that kind of works with both of us, and we could set up another meeting if that's something you'd like to do.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, and I want to learn more about because you
Hmm.
talked about the steps of it,
Yeah,
like so yeah, I'd like to like learn more about that, but
yeah,
yeah, so I'll definitely watch it. And yeah, I'm excited to like learn more about like because you said he's your mentor, right? But
yeah.
he's also like your business partner, if I
So
understood.
so Phil is my mentor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and my business partner is Tona.
Okay, okay.
Sorry,
So I
I
got
I
the
didn't mean to
name.
confuse you.
That's okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, but I'd say for like the next time you can definitely meet Tona. I'll let him know that this was, an amazing meeting. We definitely, got
Uh-huh.
to know one another more. We learned more
Yeah.
about each other, and so that's awesome. That's pretty much like why I like to, have this first meeting, because if I go into it just talking about business, this and that, I just feel transactional. I feel like, all right, like I'm not even getting to know you. Like I
Yeah.
want to get to know who you are, not, just,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of, why I like to have these like little meetings, and so yeah. But I mean, that kind of,
If I
concludes. Oh,
if
sorry.
I can ask you one
Yeah,
question
yeah.
actually, uh is is your mentor, is he like how do I ask? Like did you meet each other at UC Merced, or is he like completely outside of
So
like
he
the
graduated
campus?
from San Jose State University, and
Oh,
right now,
okay.
he currently has like what businesses in, like, I think, Canada, pretty much like all around like the U.S. right now, and like even outside of the U.S. It's
Um,
it's insane. But I met
mm,
him through Tona, and so it
oh,
was
okay.
like I met the connection through a connection. So like that's why
Uh-huh.
now, like, after, like, when I realized, like, the power of LinkedIn, I'm like, wait, like I can meet people through
Yeah.
people. So it's like, well, if I give you like the actual story, so like I connected with Tona, and he
Mm-hmm.
connected me with my coach, and then through my
Mm.
coach, she connected me through my mentor, because my coach gets mentored by Phil. So
Oh,
when I
okay.
was able to meet my mentor, I'm like, wait, like there's levels to this. Okay, like, I got a coach, I
Yeah.
have a mentor, and I have a business partner. I was like, okay, so like, wow, this is a lot, but like, like I want to show you guys my best. And something I
Yeah.
can like tell you too, definitely, is that, I think I mentioned it before, but pretty much everything is at your pace. So, don't ever feel
Okay.
like you need to wait for me, because I'm never gonna hold you back. I'm never like, if you say like, hey, I finished the video, is there any other material, or hey, can we set up another meeting? I'm never gonna be like, no, Fernanda, we're not gonna set up a meeting. No, I'm not gonna send you more material. Because that's something that I wish someone told me when I was going through the process. I was like waiting for it. Like I finished all the videos. I'm like, okay, so like, when's the next
That's
one? And I'm just
nice.
waiting. And then Tona's like, oh, so like maybe like a few days later, oh, how's the video? Like, oh, I finished a few days ago. Oh, why didn't you let me know? I'm like, oh, I thought you were gonna
I
like it.
didn't
Like I
know.
thought. So it's like, I was learning how to build
Yeah.
my communication as well. But
Yeah.
everything's at your pace. So it's like, you can take 3 months like Tona, or you could take like a month and a half like me, or you could be
Uh-huh.
3 weeks like my coach. She was insane.
Okay.
She just went like, she saw the value, she saw the business plan, and she was like, "Oh, I want to do it." But
Uh-huh.
it's at your own time. So there's like, pretty much like todo su paso. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't need to feel rushed, or you don't need to
Okay.
feel like, like you need to do it now, or like, you got to do it in like a year. So it's like pretty much
Okay.
it's a process. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it was amazing talking to you, Fernanda. It was awesome getting to know you
Yeah.
today. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Thank you.
definitely looking forward to hearing from you. All right.
Yeah. Thank you. And yeah, it was so nice to getting to know you. And yeah, you're nice. You're nice.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And yeah, and we connected a lot. So thank you so much for making the time. I know you're so busy. And but yeah, I enjoy talking to you, and I look forward to your message, and I'll watch the video as soon as I
Yeah, for sure. Then yeah, sounds good then. And
can.
likewise, it was
Yeah.
awesome
Okay.
talking to you and getting to know you. I know you were, you're outside your house. You're getting home. So yeah, best of luck. And yeah, we'll stay in touch, right?
Okay. Thank you.
All right then.
Bye.
Bye bye. Oh my gosh, that was almost a 2-hour MG1. Christopher